All right, I wanted to do a quick little demo to address the question that a couple of you guys asked in class regarding how you would create a power cord for an object. So what I've done is I've just kind of created some generic appliance base right here, and we're going to have a power cord that comes out of the bottom of this base and maybe kind of goes in a spiral. Now, the way that you're going to do this is you are actually going to draw a curve. Now, how a curve works is it's kind of like drawing a path in Illustrator, right? And there's actually drawing tools in Maya that allow you to do that kind of work. So I'm actually going to hop over to my top view, all right, and just position this little proxy appliance. I'm going to go and click on the curves menu right here. And personally, I like using this tool right here. So if I just let the mouse over, it's a Bezier curve tool because it functions like the pen tool that's used in Illustrator. And so I'm very familiar and comfortable with the way that it's going to work. So this tool selected, I'm just going to, click and hold and drag, all right? And you can see how it's allowing me to, to draw and customize these curves right here. So just going to draw a couple over here, about like so. I can actually go back on these points that I've created and tweak their location, tweak the curved input and output data. I'm going to add another curve right in there. I just want to have a curve that feels nice and natural. All right, I'm going to go with that. So I can press return to commit that. Now if I tap on my space bar and come back into this point of view, you can see that because we're drawing down from the top view, it's basically applied that at a y coordinate or coordinational value of 0. I'm not sure if that's even a word. Basically this entire curve is laying flat here on the base of the grid. Now, what's nice is I can actually take that Bezier curve tool and come back in and reselect this and tweak that, all right? And so get a more three-dimensional curve out of it as a result. Okay, so I'll go ahead and place that. Now, we have this intentional area where we have one section of this curve overlapping another section. We'll address that in just a second. But what we need to do now is we need to create something to extrude down and along this path. So I am going to do that by getting started with a little box right here. All right, so just drew in this cube. I'm going to give it a subdivision width of 3 so that I can come in and I will select these two faces, and I'll select these two faces right down here, go into scale, hold down shift and scale that, or basically end up extruding that out along the y-axis. I'm going to grab some of these vertices right here and actually bring them a little closer together. I'll grab some of these faces right here, not holding shift, scale them out like so. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to create a shape like you would run into with an extension cord. Where there's kind of a little fluted area in the center of the cord because one wire runs down one side of the thicker area, another wire runs down the other side, thicker side of the area. And while I'm at it, I think I'm going to grab my insert edge loop tool and just throw in some strategically placed edge loops to try and preserve some edge hardness in a couple of select areas. All right. Now, it looks like at the moment I've created this I'm going to extrude the cord off of it a scale that's not very complementary to the scale of this object right here. So I'll just scale that down a little bit. Now I'm going to look at this from the top view, go into wire frame mode, and let's see, just go ahead and translate that and kind of put the front part of this object right about where this curve starts. Okay, now I'll hop into the side, press 4, hit F, and try and do the same thing. All right, I might even rotate it so it does a better job favoring the angle of this curve as it comes out. Okay, now what I need to do, so I'm going to go back into wireframe mode. I'm going to right click on this and select face. And I want to select all the faces that I'm going to be extruding. All right, so it's just those frontmost faces. So with those selected, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I will select the actual curve itself. All right, I'll press 5 on my keyboard now. Now I'm going to go to the extrude icon right here, and I'm going to double click on it so that it brings up the extrude face options. Now because we have the curve selected, by default it's going to recognize that we most likely want to extrude along that curve. So make sure that this is set to selected. Now for the divisions, if we only leave that at 2, we're going to run into some problems. Just for the moment, I'm going to increase this to a division count of 50, meaning that it's going to create 50 individual segments as it extrudes along this path. The more segments that you have, the more fidelity it will possess as it follows along that path. I'll go ahead and hit extrude. Now if you find that you gave it too few or too many, you can still go back and edit it right here. I could change this to 100 segments, or I could actually go to the poly extrude input in the channel box editor and just keep fiddling with that until we get the right number. Now something else that you can do is you can play around, you can give it a little bit of a twist, all right, which sometimes makes things feel a little bit more natural. You can give it a positive taper or a negative taper. I guess not a negative taper, but you can have it taper down to 0 if you need that to peter out. I'm going to leave that at 1 with just a little bit of a twist there. All right, and so if I hit 3 on my keyboard, we're going to get something that actually looks like a convincing little electrical cord that comes out. Now one thing I want to do is because of the fact that that curve kind of just intersected itself, the same thing's happening with the geometry that we extruded down it. So if I press 4 on my keyboard, you can see that curve is still in there, and I can actually select the curve in my outliner and go back to my curve editor and grab the Bezier curve tool, and you can actually come in and still edit that. So maybe what I'll do is I'll add a new point in, like right in here. I'll add in a new point somewhere right in there. And then I can take this, whoops. Let's see, grab that Bezier curve, that Bezier tool again. I can actually take it and move it up to a point where it reasonably naturally goes over top of this other section. I can grab some of these curves right in here, tweak that up a hair, bring this up just a little bit more, grab this right here, tweak it up a hair, adjust the angles on these curves, and just really finesse it and get it to the point where you want it to be. And let's say that this is it, that we're satisfied with what's going on right here. We like the rotation to it, so it has the little implied twist. All you need to do to get rid of that curve on the inside is go to Edit, Delete by Type, and delete the history. And then you should be able to delete that curve without damaging the object that you extruded down it. All right, so I hope that answers the questions. For those of you who wanted to do something like this, please let me know if you have any more.